Hey, good morning. Welcome to C-Mill Guitar, home of the 6-string solution. Today we are going to start a series on the modes, okay? I'm hopefully going to simplify this for you. 7 notes in the major scale before it repeats. We're going to talk about that G major scale along one string and kind of expound on that idea. If you have any questions about the major scale, I have a video called Majoring in the Majors. You can refer to that. Otherwise, we're just going to kind of move forward with that whole music theory idea. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about our 6th string bar chords, okay? And on the 3rd fret, our 6th string major bar chord looks like this. Alright, so we're going to be using our major and minor chords to follow that scale that we laid out on one string. In this case, it's a G major scale. We're starting on that 3rd fret of the 6th string, which is the G note, okay? And like we did in the majoring in the majors, what we did was we moved up that string, okay? So we went whole step to the next note, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step. There's our octave again. That's where our G is on the 15th fret here, the low E string, all right? But we're going to kind of take that one step further to help us understand how the modes work together, okay? And here's what we're going to do first. We are going to play that 6th string bar chord, whether it's a major chord or a minor chord, depends on what note in the scale it starts on. And we're going to take a look at that quick. So what we're going to look at today is how the chords fit into that major scale. So we use our major scale to build chords, and we're not going to get any more complicated than that today. I just want you to understand what type of chord is on which note of the scale, okay? And mostly those are going to be major and minor until we get to the 7th degree of the scale, and then that generates a chord that's called a minor 7 flat 5. It's an odd chord, and if you don't know what that is, we will talk about that later. So let's take a look at how those 6 string bar chords stack up against the major scale on the 6th string. Okay. So we're going to start on the 3rd fret of the 6th string. Now if we go up to that next scale degree in the G major scale along the 6th string, move it up 2 frets, that's an A minor chord. 2 more frets, B minor chord. 1 fret, there's our half step. That's a C major chord, okay? 2 more frets, that's our whole step. There's a D major chord. Now this is the one that changes a little bit. We can do a D7 on this chord as well, okay? Now we move up another whole step. Here's our E minor on the 12th fret. Now here's the weird one. This is the F sharp minor 7 flat 5, okay? That's on the 14th fret. That's the odd man out. Now if you can squish your fingers together here to get this to happen, on the 15th fret there's your octave of the G chord, okay? And then the pattern just starts again. So we've got G major, A minor, B minor, C, D, E minor, F sharp minor 7 flat 5, there it was, and there's our G major at the top. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about the scales that generates. It's the same concept as far as we are citing our notes off of our 6th string here, okay? And we're going to take a look at that major scale again that starts on the 3rd fret with our 2nd finger, okay? And we're going to be using that 1 finger per fret rule here, and you can refer to that video, Majoring in the Majors, again if you have any issues with this one, okay? 2nd finger, 4th finger, then we're going to switch strings. 1st finger, 2nd finger, 4th finger, switch strings. 1st finger, 3rd finger, 4th finger, switch strings. 1st finger, 3rd finger, 4th finger, switch strings. 2nd finger, 4th finger, switch strings. 1st finger, 2nd finger. Alright, so what that looks like when it all comes together, is like this. So what's happening essentially with that is you have a 2-octave scale, which means you're going to do the G to G and then again from G to G. So here's what's happening. We have an F sharp in here, okay? Don't let that throw you. I'm just going to name the notes as we go here. So G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. Here's our G again, okay? G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Now we can number those notes, okay? 1 through 7. That makes it a little more convenient, especially when you're moving things around. Alright, so here's our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now remember when we talked about the major scale before, in our major scale pattern, we can call this 8 because that's the octave. But for our purposes, we're just going to start over at 1 so that we can keep our intervals the same in the next octave. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's our 1 again. Now the reason we use the 1 over and over again is to help us identify where our roots are. So when we're playing, you know, if we're out there in a scale and we're like, I'm kind of lost, that's home base for us, okay? If we're improvising. So if we were just playing some kind of a, I'm like, oh, where am I? I don't know. There's a root, okay? And at least we can kind of get back to our home base. That's the whole point of it. So again, one more time, major scale. Here's another little trick to remember. When we're moving these things around, we're trying to look for patterns. So just like here's our G on the 3rd fret, our octave G is on the 15th fret up here. Well, we played our major scale down here on the 3rd fret. Remember we ended on the 15th fret with our bar chord, our G major bar chord. Well, we can play our G major scale in that spot the same way. So here we go. So now that we've played the G major scale in 2 different locations on the neck, which would be 3rd fret here on the 6th string and then the 15th fret on the 6th string. Those are both G notes, by the way, just in case you were wondering. It's really a similar process to do the other modes. Now here's the thing with modes, okay? We are doing the exact same thing in the key of G that we did when we did our bar chords. All we are doing is, here's a G major bar chord, okay? And then we had our G major scale. And those correlate to each other. Now here's the thing. Remember when we moved this G major bar chord up to the next note in the G major scale? That created a minor chord. It also creates a minor mode, but here's the trick. Our key of G has 1 sharp in it, that's F sharp, and the reason it has that in there is so that it conforms to the major scale formula we talked about in the majoring in the majors episode. Now because of that, rather than playing from G to G using that formula, all we are doing when we're doing modes is we're playing from, in this case, instead of a G to a G, we would play from an A to an A note. So we would have A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. There's our root of our parent key. We're going to call it the parent key because that's where this mode is derived from, as well as all these other modes we're going to look at, okay? Now that's just a brief example of what we're going to be covering in these next few episodes. So, I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at cmillguitar@gmail.com. Comment below, squash that like button. More to come, folks.